Alrighty, so today we are going to finish the review for these midweek action. We got five more games to talk about, and like I said, yesterday, in terms of some of these games, yeah, it definitely gone a little while, and we definitely saw some MLS after dark kind of stuff, especially when we get to this game. But first of all, let's begin the first game, which is Sporting KC and Charlotte FC, and this was an absolute meltdown for Charlotte. And this game kind of just sums up the season for Charlotte FC. It's hard to believe that this team used to be at the top of the Eastern Conference just a couple of months ago. And yeah, just these last couple of months, not only things have been rough for this team, but it's kind of almost hitting up to a new low with the way that they were minutes away of getting a massive 3 points in this one. And then in just a span of 3 minutes, to get out of Kansas City with absolutely nothing. Now, in the first half, Zaha would put it wide from close before BO put it over from long range. Postcam would then deny Zaha, but he did spill this one and was a little fortunate the fact that he wasn't punished because of it. There was no doubt that Charlotte was the better team coming out of the gate. They were pressing for the opening goal. Abada would then hits it right to Polskam before Bo hits it right to Polskam in the 20th minute. The shots were 6-0 for Charlotte up to this point. I mean, it was all the visiting side in this one early in this game. So Nava then puts in as that was Sporting KC's first shot and really the first real attack that they had in the 20th minute. In the 27th minute, Tommy would flash it wide from close range, and after a really slow start to this game where Sporting KC was just kind of second best for the first 20 minutes, they finally woke up and started to look to try to get the opening goal. The post would deny Suleimanov after just a bad turnover there from Charlotte, but then in the 34th minute, Charlotte did get their lead in this one. It's Tukamani. He scored from Zaha to make it 1-0 in favor of Charlotte, and I would say it was kind of against the run of play. I mean, when you look at what happened in the first 20 minutes of this game, it's not a big surprise. But the last 10 minutes, the momentum definitely shifts to 14 KC, and yeah, Charlotte kind of only break that momentum, but they got a much needed 1-0 lead in this one. Joveljic did look to answer, but he hits it right to Kalina before Bo puts it over from long range. Joveljic then puts one right to Kalina before Tukamati would blast one back to Missouri on the doorstep of goal. And we do head to halftime with the score 1-0 in favor of Charlotte, despite the fact that there were definitely some chances for both of these teams to score more goals in this one. In the second half, Abada was in on goal there, but he missed that one wide, and that would also be a feat for this game for Charlotte. Again, it's not just the fact that they had this epic meltdown late in this game, but the fact that they had multiple times where they could have scored that second goal and killed this game off. Yeah, as the old saying go, you don't put your opponent away. Yeah, it's gonna come back to haunt you. Sharawee would then miss wide from close as both of these teams were getting some good early chances in the second half. We did go for a period where not much really happened. That usually favorites the road team, especially when they're winning. Muniz would puts it high from close in the 80th minute. Charlotte seems like they were shutting up shop, looking to try to seize out this 1-0 win. Though, as I said, that they had a couple of chances to make it 2-0, starting with Carvin Vargas fires it wide from point blank effort, and then he was denied by Postcam in the 87th minute on a 1v1 opportunity. And immediately I wrote when I saw that when Woody's inability to get that second goal and kill this game off for Charlotte is going to come back to haunt them, because after Memo Rodriguez puts it wide from long range in the third minute of stoppage time, just a couple of seconds later, Sporting KC ties the game up. And it's Mason Toy. Boy, it's been a long time since I've seen him score, and I always love to see him score a goal there in terms of all the adversity that he has to face throughout his career. But he scored here from Garcia to tie the game up at one apiece. It's his first goal for Sporting KC, that is. And then just a couple of minutes later, Yola completely turned this game on its head. He scored from Muniz and Garcia to make it 2-1 in favor of Sporting KC, and Yola kind of paid the price in terms of scoring that winning goal, because he immediately pulled holding his hamstring. It looked like he pulled his hamstring there, and you just hope that it's nothing serious, because that's a big loss for Sporting KC if Dejan Joveljic is going to out for a couple of weeks because of injury. But at that moment, no Sporting KC fans would have cared. This was an incredible comeback. We've seen Sporting KC done this a couple of times this season. I mean, remember the 3-0 comeback that they had against Minnesota early this season? But this one, I think, means even more with the way that we talk about improbable comeback. This was definitely right up there with them completely turning this game on its head deep into stoppage time to really steal this one late. And yeah, in the end, Sporting KC gets the 2-1 win in this one. The shots in this one, 21 shots for the 18 that Charlotte has. There was a lot of shots in this one. 5 shots on goal for the 4 that Sporting KC had. 7 shots off target for the 10 that Charlotte has. 2 shots that was blocked for the 6 that SKC had. And possession-wise, 52% possession compared to the 48% possession that Charlotte has in this game. And as I said, this feels like it's a new low for the Charlotte FC side. I mean, this is just it needs to be studied in terms of the downfall that this team has had. This team has just been so rock solid, and this is something you just never see with a Dean Smith side when he took over the job last season, especially in the beginning of the season. But for whatever reason, I mean, ever since the bad run of form happened when they lost like 5 in a row in a stretch. I mean, yes, they have won a couple of games in doing that stretch and have looked like the shard of the older team that should be a contender in the Eastern Conference. But yeah, this game is definitely not going to have that case, especially when you're facing against a team that hasn't really done very well so far this season. Now, moving on, in terms of the next game, we got Chicago versus the Philadelphia Union, and the home woes continue for the Chicago Fire. Now, granted, yes, this was against the top team in the Eastern Conference, and the Union kind of shows you why that they were in this one. But for Chicago, it was kind of almost the same thing as they had in the last game, where they just weren't clinical in terms of finishing, and that right now they're below the red line, despite the fact that you look at this Fire team, I think they definitely play much better compared to previous season. But the home form are really killing their chances in terms of finally ending this playoff drought. Now in the first half, Bender with the first game of the shot for the Union, but he missed high from long range. But then a penalty was given to the Union as Gutman handball that one in the box. Yeah, there was no doubt that was a handball. He pretty much reached his arm all the way across his body. It's an unnatural position. So here comes Diamante, a chance to put it away from the penalty spot. And this was huge for Diamante because he has struggled when it comes to his finishing, but he buries that one to give the Union a 1-0 lead. Little do we know that would be the only goal of this game. Lukic would then look for a second, but he hits it right to goal before Kuipers miss high from close range, and then he hits it by from close in the 22nd minute. As I thought the Fire responded well. They were pushing for the equalizing goal. Kuipers would then hits the side netting from close in the 31st minute. Kuipers have been very inconsistent this year, I think, for the Chicago Fire. There's been times where Hugo Kuipers have been good for this team, especially when this team is playing on the road. And then there's times where he's just missing chances that you expect him to score, especially the town that he has. Zikanago then hits it right to Rick in the 34th minute, and then he hit a rocket of a shot that actually rattled the post and out. And again, the Fire, they were putting all sort of pressure, but the problem is, can they finally find their finishing, which has kind of been lacking in these last two home games. Vasilev then had a shot that actually stung the palms of Jeffrey Galt. But he was able to parry that one away before Lukic puts it over from long range, and we do head to halftime with the Union leading 1-0. In the second half, Bamba would puts it wide from close in the 52nd minute before Gutman missed the side netting, as I thought Chicago continued to press to get the equalizer. Vasilev would then puts it wide from close. We then go for a period where not much really happened between both of these teams, which, again, anytime when that happened, especially the road team is winning, that's always going to be favored for the road team. Barlow would then hits the side netting in the 80th minute before Lukic puts it over from long range. Gutierrez then had a shot that was clear off the line in the second minute of stoppage time. Yeah, it's just that kind of game for the Chicago Fire game. They just cannot buy a goal in these last two games at home, and the crowd kind of got restless at the end of the game. And despite the fact that this has been a great season for the for the Fire, and I don't think their points total had kind of shows that. The crowd definitely was a little restless after this game. The boos were definitely coming out in full force. It's the second consecutive game that the Chicago Fire failed to score at home, and they're still stuck with just one home win so far this season. This team has one of the best road record this season, but they also at the same point have one of the worst home record this season, and as a result, they're still below the red line as we speak, as the Union stay at the top of the Eastern Conference with a 1-0 win, and most importantly, stay at the top of the overall stand. They're actually the leader right now in the supporter shield. I mean, I definitely did not see that coming heading into this season. But the shots in this one, 15 shots with 11 that the Union has, 3 shots on goal for the 2 that the Fire had, 6 shots off target with a 5 that the Union has, 2 shots that was blocked for the 7 that the Fire has, and possession-wise, 57% possession compared to the 43% possession the Union has in this game. Very frustrating game for the Chicago Fire. They have to be better playing at home. I mean, season, it's a mystery. Like we know this team is very good on the road. We know that they can score goals and look good on the attacking end, but for whatever reason, they're not showing that at home. And again, I know this was against the Philadelphia Union, against one of the best team in the league, and quite frankly, the best team in the league right now. But still, these are kind of the games where they had the chances to get something out of this, had the chances to not to do so, and they just aren't putting away like what we see them do on the road. Now, moving on in terms of the next game is Dallas and the San Jose Earthquakes. So this was one of two games that feature a bit of a long rain delay, but it was definitely worth the wait because yeah, this game was crazy. I mean, this game had MLS after dark kind of energy late in this one, and I actually kind of had to check myself to make sure this is not a Dallas road game because this is kind of stuff that see FC Dallas do on the road, not when they're playing at home because the rules of Dallas this season is that they play these kind of crazy game on the road, but at home that's usually isn't going to be the case. I mean, I guess maybe the reason why this end up to be a crazy game is because I feel like the San Jose Earthquakes are like the LA Galaxy of last season. It just feels like it's not a Quakes game this season if there was just some crazy dramas and just a lot of shots and also a lot of entertainment. The Quakes is right up there in terms of one of the best team in terms of watchability. And I mean, in some way, that could be great news for the Quakes because hey, the Galaxy won the MLS Cup last season by playing a little bit of a similar style to the Quakes are playing right now. So as I mentioned, this game did had a bit of a weather delay, and I say it's a bit of a weather delay. It was kind of a long delay, 90 minutes past the scheduled kickoff time. The game finally kicked off at 9:05 p.m. local time, and this actually was not the latest kickoff we have seen in this midweek, as we'll mention. The other game that had a weather delay actually lasted even longer. But it doesn't seem like it definitely affect both teams because from the get go, both team was kind of going gun ho and creating some dangerous moment on the attack, being very direct. Larue with the game's first shot, but he puts it wide. The Quakes definitely started to dictate the game, and we're looking for the opening goal. Though as I said that, Julio would hits it right to Danielle as that was the first shot for Dallas, and then he denied Musa from closing the 16th minute. Dallas definitely started to get into this game with the chances, looking to try to get the opening goal. Julio would hits it right to Danielle in the 19th minute. The turnover and bad transitional defense has been a problem for the Quakes early in this one. There was a lot of turnovers and lot of bad transitional the defense, which is something that yeah we talk about this defense of the Quakes. I mean, as good as their attack is, which is the best in the league right now, their defense is leaky at best. There was a shout for a penalty for Dallas not given before Arango hits it wide from long range. The shots were 4-3 for Dallas up to this point, but then at the half hour mark, they take the lead. It's Pedro Musa. He scored from Acosta to make it 1-0 in favor of Dallas. It's hard to believe this is a combination we haven't seen as often as it is. I mean, heading into this season, we thought this was a combination we were going to see, similar to we see with the Surge and Mukhtar combination, the great link up play between a 10 and a 9, but we just haven't seen it a lot this season. This is one of the rare times that we see it, and yeah, just like that, it was a 1-0 lead for Dallas. LaRue did try to answer, but he was denied by Poss before Romney when hits it to the side netting in the 37th minute. And as crazy as this sound when it comes to the goal scoring in this one, it could have been even more crazier if both goalkeeper also tried their best and kind of was a talking point in this game, making some big saves, especially in a Martin Pass perspective. But I thought it was a good response for the Quakes. But now, can they show that clinical finishing? Which, yeah, this season it's been a problem at times. Pass would deny Arango from close. The shots were now 9-4 for the Quakes as Dallas kind of needs halftime. They were kind of hanging on for a bit. It's almost like they got ultra defensive, which again, that's got to be a thing that if you're a Dallas fan, that's got to drive you nuts because I've seen this happen with teams before where as soon as they got the 1-0 lead, they think that they can just sit back and absorb the pressure and invite the pressure to do on your opposition. And I think the Quakes is probably the last team you want to do, especially of how good they are on the attacking end. Arango would then heads it right to Pass, and then Espinoza had a shot that hit his own teammate, and I think it hit Picho there on the ground. And I thought, yep, it's one of those nights for the Quakes again. I've seen this story before this season where they just can't finish, and yeah, I thought they were going to be in for a long night with the way that I'm just kind of almost pulling my hair out with the amount of chances that they're given, but they're just not taken. But we do head to halftime with Dallas leading 1-0. In the second half, LaRue would puts it over from long range. The Quakes kind of picked up where they left off, missing some chances, but Dallas also kind of picked up where they left off too, of sitting deep in the low block. And as the old saying goes, I mean, when you try to do that, especially with them playing with the fire for so long doing that, they're gonna get burned because in the 50th minute they got burned, and this is no pun intended in terms of the way that their third kid is gonna be something to pay tribute with the old Dallas burn. But in the 50th minute, Chicho Arango would score from Espinoza to make it 1-1 in this one, and the Quakes, one of the best team in terms of the set pieces. It's kind of interesting that both of the team that I root for in MLS have been kind of become set piece king. The Quakes have been very good on set pieces. Minnesota has also been pretty good on set pieces, and here just a great delivery from Espinoza from the corner, and then Chicho just kind of got completely unmarked like that. That is inexcusable defending. In a Dallas perspective, Bridginio did look to answer, but he was denied by Daniel. But he did get his own rebound, just couldn't quite put it on target on the second attempt. But then the 57th minute, the Quakes takes the lead for the first time. It's Joseph Martinez. He scored from Espinoza and Arango to make it 2-1 in this one, and that was vintage Joseph with the way that lovely back heel, kind of a very Joseph kind of s goal that he scored in this one, and just like that, the Quakes were up 2-1 up to this point, and I even wrote it feels like it's night and day in terms of finishing compared to what we saw in the first half for the Quakes. They've been so much more clinical in terms of their finishing compared to what we saw in the first. Pedrinho then puts it wide from close before pass denied Orango on the header, but then the 68th minute, the game was all tied up again as Shaq Moore gets the tying goal for Dallas, and really this was one I thought they were gonna give it to Bernard Kamungo because it looks like he touched it last there, but as it stands, it's still given a goal to Shaq Moore. So yeah, the game was tied up again at two apiece. Costa would then puts it right to pause, and I just thought, yeah, buckle up, boys and girls, because this game has some serious MLS after dark energy with just defense. Pretty much forget about it. We're not playing defense in this game, and in the 78th minute, it was literally the case because the Quakes would take the lead again with Bolarut scoring the goal, and really it was just a gift because it came off a WTF turnover from Dallas in their own half. Bolarut capitalized on that mistake, and then just 1 minute later, this is when I little did we know that this is when the meltdown started to happen for Dallas. Not only giving up the lead back to the Quakes, but now found himself down to 10 men as Kaike would get himself sent off in this one, and just a rush of blood moment there for the youngster here. Just a rush of blood here. He was not happy when he was kind of bumped by Chicho, and then he react by headbutting Chicho at the back. Now I know some will say that there was not really too much contact of it, and if you know the history of Chicho Arango, he definitely is the master in terms of playing the dark arts at time, and I think he definitely embellished that. I don't think there was really too much content in terms of it, but it really doesn't matter. Anytime when you're trying to go through a head motion, whether you make contact or a lot of contact in this case, that's a violent conduct in the letter of the law, and yeah, Kaike had to go. So that Dallas were down to 10 men. Also, would then hits it right to Danielle in the 84th minute, and I thought just because the Quakes were down to or the Quakes were up a man in this one doesn't mean this game is far from over, because like I said, this game there was no defense that was being played, so it doesn't really matter the numerical advantage gives to the Quakes. I was still a little nervous. So in the 86th minute, we did see the second red card of the game given to Dallas as Ibiaga commits a dogso moment, and there was no question that this was dogs. So here, so yeah, Dallas was down to 9 men. Arango would puts one to Oklahoma in the 87th minute before Judd would hits one right to pass in the 90th minute. But then in the 9th minute stoppage time, and by the way, there was 11 minutes of stoppage time in this one. So yeah, now the question is, can the Quakes kind of close things out? Because knowing this team, I'm still not comfortable, even when they're up 2 men in this one. But they finally put it away in the 9th minute stoppage time. As Mark Anthony Kane, it's been a while since he scored a goal, and in fact, I think this is the first for the Quakes in league play. But he scored from Dewan Jones to give the Quakes a 4-2 lead and pretty much shut the or put out the lights out at Toyota Field in this one. Danielle then denied Musa in the near post, and yeah, in the end, the Quakes they get the 4-2 win on a wild now night that we saw in North Texas in this one. The shots in this one, 20 free shots for the 10 that Dallas had, 8 shots on goal for the 11 that the Quakes had, 6 shots off target for the none that Dallas had, 2 shots on block for the 6 that the Quakes had, and possession-wise, 60% possession compared to the 40% possession that Dallas has in this game. And every time I say that, this feels very unsustainable the way that the Quakes have played. I mean, yes, I would love if this team doesn't do these kind of things, which is making it very interesting, and especially the defense. This transfer window, they absolutely need to improve the defense. But hey, at the end of the day, they get the big win for once. They actually show some clinical finishing, which was really a big problem in the first half in this one. But for Dallas, yeah, I mean, the defense is definitely a problem this season. And again, and the other thing that's been a big problem this season, the home form. The home form has absolutely been atrocious for this team, and in some way, they're kind of having the same problem as the Chicago Fire. Dallas is a good team on the road. They have got some good victory on the road, but at home this season, it's been kind of a bit of a disaster, and that's kind of something you don't usually see with FC Dallas, especially with the way that Texas team usually do well at home because they take advantage of the heat. And even though in this game the Braves don't really have to deal with too much of it because pretty much this entire game was played under darkness and the heat was pretty much gone because of the weather. Still, I mean this is definitely frustrating if you're a Dallas fan. The fact that yes, you like to watch these entertaining kind of brand of soccer, but you're not getting the resort at home that you need to try to get themselves above the red line. But that being said, I am now going to switch boards and look at the last two games to finish up this review of the midweek action of match week number 20. Alrighty, so now we get to the marquee game of this midweek action. I'm pretty sure everybody were looking for to this game between the two top team in the Western Conference. And despite the fact that yes, the timing of this battle between the top two is kind of a little bit off the track with the way that both of these teams are missing some key guys, and who knows if they were in the strongest team between both of these sides, how they will of course fare each other, and I guess we'll find out next time when both of these teams meet each other at Snapdragon Stadium. Man, did both of these teams put on a show in this game. And what's even crazier about this game is that I don't think the scoreline indicated the fact that the goal scoring could be even more crazier than this. Vancouver actually had a lot of chances in this one to make this game even more interesting than San Diego did throughout this one. But this was just a classic example of one team were being better in terms of their clinical finishing and the other just not being good enough in terms of clinical finishing and ends up on the losing side. Now in the first half, the first shot for the Whitecaps, see Rios puts it wide off the deflection. There was a huge shout for a penalty for the Whitecaps as Sabi thought that he was brought down in the box by Verhoeven, but the referee and VAR did not agree with that. Vancouver was definitely on the front foot. They were ramping up the pressure and were looking for the opening goal. Takaoka would deny Iloski as that was San Diego's first shot, and then he puts it over from long range in the 16th minute. Little did we know that this would be a career night for Milan Iloski, getting his first start in his MLS career. But there was no doubt that San Diego has gone into this game. They were looking for the opening goal. Rios would go on his bike, but got it completely wrong before Bombino had a shot that was actually blocked off of his own teammate by Alex Maiton, who actually slipped in his own box and kind of act as an obstruction as a result. So that's got to be very unfortunate there in a San Diego perspective. Takaoka then tipped Aviato shot that took a deflection. You just kind of had a feeling that the opener was coming. I mean, the goal so we're going to eventually come with the way that both of these teams were pushing for the opener. We're having some great opportunity. Well, Iloski did try to do so in the 33rd minute, but his volley was deflected just high. But then just 2 minutes later, he would be on target as he scored to make it 1-0 in favor of San Diego. Tagoga actually made a great save on him originally, but it falls right back to him. He was able to bury it on the second attempt. And then just 2 minutes later, guess what? He scored again. This time from Dryer to make it 2-0 in favor of San Diego. Vancouver was basically in shell shock because, yeah, this is not the Whitecaps defense that we envisioned this season. This is a Whitecaps defense has been just so rock solid this year, but they are just getting absolutely rocked in this first half. Though in the 42nd minute, they did get one back as Ocampo did make it 2-1 in this one. And yeah, speaking of bad defending, it was San Diego turn to show you how not to defend as McVay kind of had a bad clearance that goes right into the path of Ocampo. In fact, this game similar to the Dallas and Quakes game defense was kind of a second option at times in this one because in the 44th minute, just as Vancouver thought they got back into this game, Iloski would complete his hat trick. He scored from Dwyer to make it 3-1 in this one. They were still announcing the previous goal scorer when the goal went in. That's how fast of a response that San Diego has, and just like that, it's 3-1 in favor of San Diego. And I know Iloski is going to grab all the headlines with a hat trick in this one, and then eventually scoring his fourth goal. Spoiler alert! But you got to give credit to Anders Dreyer as well. I mean, he is a guy that is going to be now on being the newcomer of the year and maybe even getting MVP vote too because the performance that he's done for the San Diego's side is just second to none. Vite would then look to response, but he puts it right to Dos Santos before Veselinovic would heads it high from close in the 7 minute stoppage time. But we do head to halftime with an entertaining matchup between the top two team in the Western Conference, with San Diego leading 3-1, and they waste no time to make it 4-1 because in the 48th minute, Iloski would score again. He scored from Dwyer to make it 4-1 in favor of San Diego. I mean, it was kind of surreal seeing him just tearing on this Whitecaps defense. And you know that coming into this game, as much as I know he's been very confident, and I even mentioned the fact that he's kind of had that El Zeno kind of vibe in him of able to come off the bench and score goals. The big question is, can he do the same thing when he is starting from minute one? And it's safe to say, I think we found that answer in this one. Ocampo did look to respond, but he missed wide there. And then the post denied Rios from long range. And again, to the Whitecaps' credit, they have not given up. And I'm not surprised the Whitecaps haven't given up. If you would have thought that the Whitecaps would give up, especially if you've seen a Jasper Sorensen side of all the adversity that they face and that never surrender kind of mentality, you knew this game was far from over even at 4-1. Ocampo would then puts it high from close, but then the 66th minute, they get one back as Laborda would score from Vite to make it 4-2 in this one. And while the goal, of course, was scored, there was some controversy around that because Alvarado was down during the attacking sequence and he had to be stretcher off that. San Diego fans were absolutely fuming in terms of the way that the referee should have stopped the game. And I mean, there is that kind of judgment call by the referee that he could stop the game. I mean, he's definitely going to stop the game because of head injury, but if it's not a head injury, it's kind of almost a judgment call to see whether or not if the ref will stop the play. And in this play, he decided not to do so, even though at the end of the time, yeah, it turns out to be a serious injury. And you don't want to speculate, but it feels like Alvarado might have suffered an injury with the way that he was stretched off, and especially with the way that his knee kind of went down on the turf. Blackman then heads it just wide from close in the 77th minute, and this is when I said, man, if Vancouver was a little bit more clinical in this one, this could have easily been 4-3 or even 4-4 to this point. But instead, it would be 5-2 in favor of San Diego, as Thomas Angel would score from Valicari to make it 5-2 in this one. And just for good measure, in the 6 minute stoppage time, Vancouver would get one back as Antoine Copeland would score his first career MLS goal from Johnson and Vite. So if this was definitely a night in terms of unlikely goal scored, and there we go. At that point, it was 5-3 up to this point. It didn't really mean much. It was just kind of a consolation, and still a great moment for the youngster there. But yeah, in the end, San Diego gets the 5-3 win in this one. The shots in this one, 17 shots for the 12 that San Diego has. So Vancouver actually outshot San Diego in this one, but the shots on goal was in favor of San Diego. 8 shots on goal for the 5 that Vancouver had. 7 shots off target for the 1 that San Diego has. 4 shots that was blocked for the 3 that San Diego has. And possession-wise, 51% possession compared to 49% possession that Vancouver has. And if you look at the underlying number, obviously Vancouver, there was no doubt that they were right up there in terms of San Diego in terms of the expected to go. It was pretty even between both of these teams. But like I said, this was a classic example of one team being more clinical in front of goal, the other didn't, and as a result, the team that is more clinical in front of goal gets the big win. Now, moving on into the last game on this board, that is Colorado versus the Galaxy. So unfortunately, there was no crazy action that happened in this one. I mean, I was hoping that with this game being even more later than it needs to be, that we see some crazy MLS After Dark kind of action. But yeah, it didn't really happen. In part on that is because I don't think the LA Galaxy even thought about coming out of this game after the weather delay because they did not show up whatsoever in this game for the most part. But like I said, we got a long weather delay to start this game. The game kicked off at 9:41 p.m. Mountain Time. So it's one thing to of course kick off a game late, but for that kind of game, I was kind of surprised there was still a lot of fans in the stands. Got to give full props to those Rapids fans to sticking out in this one, despite the fact that the Wednesday night it's 9:41 p.m. to start the game. The game is going to go all the way to 11:30 as a result. We then of course get a false start at the kickoff because yes, that has to happen after a 2-hour weather delay. It just feels like it's a peak MLS after dark kind of moment. The fact that we still have to have this kind of moment. It just feels like it's a game that would never start in this one. But the first shot of the game in the 5th minute did see Peck puts it high from long range before Navarro thought that he got the opening goal of this game, but the goal was disallowed for offside. Wouldn't be the first time that would happen in this one. Not much really happened, at least in this game, as the shots were only 2-1 20 minutes into this one. Painso would then curls it wide from close, but then in the 23rd minute, Mihailovic would score. He scored from Vines to make it 1-0 in favor of the Rapids. Kudibietro did look for another, but he hits it right to Makovic, and then in the 28th minute, the Rapids would score again. It's Calvin Harris, his first goal of the season from Kudibietro and Navarro to make it 2-0. And then Navarro thought he scored again in this one, but once again he was victimized by the flag here. So yeah, it's safe to say that it was all Colorado up to this point. The Galaxy, did they even thought about coming out of the locker room in this delay, especially the defense, because it was kind of optional defending the way that the Rapids were cutting their defense at will. Hansen then denied Sanabria from close before Mihailovic would heads it wide from close range. The referee would then blow 2 minutes into the 3 minutes of stoppage time. So that was kind of weird to see the fact that we got 3 minutes of stoppage time, but the referee says, I'm just gonna blow for halftime 2 minutes in. I feel like even the referee wants to get this done and dusted because of being played so late into the night. But we do head to halftime with Colorado leading 2-0. In the second half, the Post would deny Harris of his second goal of the game, and the Rapids the third. The Rapids kind of picked up where they left off on the attack, continued to look to get that third goal, and the Galaxy kind of picked up where they left off on their defensive end, non-existing defending whatsoever. Painter would then hits one right to Hansen before Peck would puts it over from close. The Galaxy finally started to creep back into this game. Question is, can it get one back? Well, Painso tried to do so in the first minute stoppage time, but he was denied by Hansen from close. But in the end, a relatively comfortable win for the Rapids in this one. 2-0 win is the result. The shots in this one, 8 shots for the 14 that the Galaxy had, 5 shots on goal compared to the 4 that the Rapids had, 2 shots off target for the 4 that the Galaxy had, 5 shots that was blocked for the 1 that the Rapids had, and possession-wise, 64% possession compared to 36% possession the Rapids has in this game. And for those that still wonder if the Galaxy still have any chance after finally getting their first win of the season against RSL, go on an incredible comeback in the second half of the season, an unimaginable comeback to get themselves back into playoff contention. No, it's not happening. I mean, this team is done. This team's been done since when the first 10 games without a win, and it's this game pretty much once again confirms. I mean, the lack of effort in this game is definitely alarming in this one. It just feels like the Galaxy didn't show a lot of effort in this, and maybe part of that is because of the weather delay that is. But then why does the Rapids show some effort and fight to get the 3 points as a resort? But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you like, smash the subscribe button. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of these 5 games to finish off the review for these midweek action. Again, I'm gonna have to do the preview for this weekend's action. Most likely, I'm gonna do it tomorrow because I think I'm gonna still want to do a video later tonight talking about the All-Star selection that was announced on Wednesday before all of these midweek action should happen, and we'll definitely talk about who, of course, got selected into the All-Star game, and maybe even talk about some of the snubs as well, because there are definitely some notable snubs that did not make it into the All-Star game this year. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you like, smash the subscribe button, and I of course will see you guys next time.